Yo, let me level with you guys. The patch 7.2 has been pretty exciting at first, but now it's like, patch 7.25 cannot come close enough. And it's not even the fact that patch 7.25 is gonna have an intense amount of content, it's just, it felt like patch 7.2 was just some time-gated BS, and it was like everybody's getting on just to do their dailies, but then there's nothing to do afterwards. If you're having feeling that maybe there has been not a lot to do in WoW, it's kind of sort of true, but it kind of depends who you are. For me, I just do my PvP, I get my PvP dailies done, I make my PvP videos, I do some PvE from time to time, I do my world quests. But let's be honest, I felt like the patch 7.1 and the way they did it, and then 7.15 where they added even more stuff to it, I thought that was done a little bit better than patch 7.2. So they dropped in us patch 7.2. There's a broken shore, we got the nether shard farming, we got all these world bosses all over the place, there's a lot more to do, and now we have invasions, and we still have the story. But that's really about it. Back when patch 7.1 was available and everybody were grinding their ass through Suramar, which I remember some people hated the whole Suramar, especially if you had to start from the beginning. And if you are currently working on your flying, if you still haven't gotten it, a lot of people are still working on the Suramar, have to grind it out. Some people taking it just in one day, some people taking it slow. The Broken Shore isn't really that much different. We do get a quest, which is part of the story, every single week, but it's not something exciting like, oh, go into a dungeon and kill this boss, go into this dungeon, kill this boss, go into raid and kill this boss, where you have a lot of people grouping up for content. More or less, it's just people are able to complete a quest on the shore when you have a week's worth of time. I get a lot of mine done within the same day that I get it, because I feel like there's so much more to do. And there is progressions things like the Broken Shore does offer you a little bit of the building, collecting the resources and investing into the buildings and be able to use those buildings as best as possible. I feel like that's kind of a side thing. That's not really full-on content. Being able to kill world bosses and some of the bigger mobs for nether shards is, I guess, some of the side thing, but again, I don't really consider that content either. One of the things they did before the nerf it was the Sentinex farming or nether shard farming of all sorts, and you could get so many nether shards, you could get yourself caught up with gear, get your alts caught up with gear, and it still is a viable way of going about it, but it was the expensive pieces of gear, the 5,000 nether shard ones, that were very exciting, because this way you could fill in some pieces of gear. And the gear it drops for me is about 880 item level, more or less. And because of the 880 item level, when a Titan forges, it could be 900. So it's an ability for you, let's say if you're not doing PvE or not really raiding, to be able to catch up to these kind of things here and there, little by little. So that helped out a ton, but they nerfed all of that. So even if you're spending the time Sentinex farming, you're not really going to get as many points just farming and spending time into it. You really have to spend a couple hours back to back to really get some real progress going on. And I guess if you mix that together a little bit with the invasions, which again, not really as much content, more like a side thing to do, you do have that, the nether shards, but even then, it doesn't feel like a full amount of progression. It doesn't really seem like you're actually doing something with your character. It doesn't seem like you really developing as much of a story. What I liked in 7.1 is when they had the story with Suramar, they also had other content. They had raids available. They had the Trial of Valor, which is a 3-boss raid, which was difficult to a certain degree, but it was still fun and something for people to do, some people to go back to over and over and over. And I guess some people would say that, well, we do have brawls. Those are every other week, and not all these brawls are all that amazing. Let's be honest here. Some of these brawls are a really good idea, and some of these brawls are working out really well. I like some of them, but I think it's about 50-50 where I like them or I don't like them. The recent one that came out was the dunk, and they did improve on the dunk one, because at first there was no time limit, and then you had the points, and then you weren't earning points for stopping people from dunking, and they improved it a lot since then. But still, that shit was a little bit ridiculous for a little bit. The brawls, I feel like, are kind of a bit of a filler content. It's good that we have them. We have them to mix the game up a little bit, to get something new. It's almost like a new dungeon or a new way to play something, like a scenario kind of. Like scenarios from back in Miss Pandaria. It was almost like half a dungeon, but not really. And it gave you something different to do here and there. It gave you a little bit of a mixed bag of things to do. But again, didn't really feel like straight up content. And right now in 7.2, I don't blame anybody for taking a day off and not wanting to farm AP, because this is basically what you're down to. You're either down to going back and still doing Nighthold, which I think everybody has done Nighthold by now if you've done any PvE. Continue doing the PvP with patch 7.25 changes coming out. I'm kind of more excited for those changes to really explore Outlaw and Subtlety and all the cool rogue changes that are coming out, because I feel that's content It's just the class changes on its own. But in current patch, you're either doing Nether Shard, which is kind of side thing. You're doing the story, which everybody is doing. It'll just take a while. That's the worst part, is the fact that it's taken so long. And then we have the AP farming, which is a daily. I don't really know how many people get super excited to do their dailies. Daily is just something you do for overall a long-term goal that you're working for over a period of time. But I would want something more faster, just something to see myself really improving on a lot more visibly, a lot more clearly. And maybe that's too much to ask for, but... So you have a lot of these side things going on, but nothing really of main, and the only thing main that is the story, but you don't have any side mains, and that's kind of what I'm talking about. You don't really have something to keep busy. And I guess players can choose what they can do to keep them busy. They can work on reputation, they can work on gearing out their ults, they can work on getting better PvP and getting a higher rating, they can work on getting a better rating for, let's say, rated battlegrounds. There's a lot a player can choose what they want to do with their time, whether they be pushing Mythic Plus, but none of it feels like real straight up content. None of it feels like the conventional content. And for World of Warcraft, usually the conventional content, where it kind of just feels right, even as a PvPer, is when we have a central raid. There's a specific raid that's everybody is doing. And I guess Nighthold would be that raid, but it's kind of like, it's starting to feel like Siege of Orgrimmar, like 6 months into it. Everybody has done it, everybody knows that fight, yeah, you kill Garrosh, and it's getting to the point where we're going to see a lot of people just, hey, Mythic Carry, pay us however much gold it is now for a WoW token, which is like 100k, I guess, per server or so. And we'll run you and get you your mounts, haha, stuff like that. That's kind of how it's starting to feel at this point. And I don't really want World of Warcraft to start feeling this way, but I guess there's not a lot we can really do. And I'm really excited for patch 7.2.5. In 7.2.5, they're doing a lot more. Not only class changes are coming in, they're also doing the whole Chromie single-person scenario challenge, which is kind of almost reminiscent to that of a challenge for the challenge modes for everybody's weapons, which is cool in its own wake. And I'm actually kind of excited for Blizzard to be doing more single-player challenges. For the most part, MMOs are all about the multiplayer experience, but the fact that they're adding these kind of things, and if they're actually challenging, even though it's just one player doing his own thing without one time, I guess, period, then I think that's still good to add to the game. That'll be something more. It'll be like, okay, you have dungeons, 5-man, Mythic Plus, which is 5-man. You have your raids, which is 10+ man. You have your arenas, which is 3-man or 2-man or RBG, 10 people. You have your daily regular content, and then you have your solo content as well. I think it'll throw a little bit of a mixed bag for everything. Then we'll also have the Tomb of Sir Garrus as a raid, so that'll be, finally we have a raid that everybody is doing, so then all of us can get in groups and see what the final fights are, and start really farming our gear, and really getting some progression, getting all the new 2-piece, 4-piece sets, and it will really just feel wholesome. And then I feel like with all the class changes, PvP will also feel a little bit more reinvigorated, really exciting, because there will be a lot more to do. I feel like one thing that Blizzard has done, which has been the prestige rewards for PvP, I don't really know about you guys, but I thought prestige rewards were really cool, like getting a mount. Oh, that'd be so cool to farm it. Getting a titles, I guess. I don't really care about titles that much. Getting a flag that sits on the back of my head is cool. Pets for PvP, though, I never really understood that. I feel like we could maybe improve a little bit on the PvP market, and maybe give not more AP or anything of that, because then I feel like an actual person has some serious advantage regarding to what they are getting in terms of character progression. I'm not really a huge fan of that. I don't think we should have that kind of, but I feel like there could be a better incentive in order to incentivize PvPers to do BGs, continue doing any kind of PvP, just back-to-back skirmishes. Because I feel like in PvE, you have the raids, you have the Mythic Plus, which can give you gear, they can give you loot, they can give you AP, and it also gives you a better time. There's some form of challenge. With PvP, you get the whole system of rated arenas, rated RBGs, rated 2s, and I completely understand that, and you get better gear, even though that gear is, I guess it's alright, but it's not the kind, like the trinkets they give you don't really translate that well into PvE, let's be honest. You don't really, oh hey, I got this trinket for on use 4,000 versatility. Wow, thank God I'm an Outlaw Rogue, because I can actually use that, but if you're any other class, oh man, not a lot of people can actually use the versatility, let's be honest here. But I feel like a lot more could be done, and with patch 7.2.5, it's gonna be a lot more fun, because there's gonna be a lot more things to do. But that still won't really do much for PvP. I do think that they could add a little bit more towards PvP in particular. I think that'll be a lot better. as a player, as somebody who PvPs regularly, if there was more incentive for me to do prestige and continue prestige and back to back to back, pets and recolored mounts are not really good incentive. Flags and toys and such, those are kind of cool. Like if you get a flag that's almost like an arena flag to run around, that's awesome. Getting other forms of rewards, maybe like specific, I guess the artifact weapon skins are pretty cool, but eventually at first you get the first skin and then you get recolors of it back to back to back. So I don't really know how that would be, how that really is. I guess some of these skins look really cool, but I don't really know if it's enough overall. All the rewards that we get for prestige to be enough, you know? But that's just my own thoughts. Let me know what you guys think about it. Anyway, if you've been kind of yawning and snoring a bit in patch 7.2, don't feel bad about it at all. I'm pretty sure there have been plenty of people that have been feeling similar way as of recent. But I just wanted to throw my thoughts in there. Okay? Alrighty. Well, I'll see you guys in the next video.